Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. Welcome to another episode of my Neofly series. So, loading up Neofly here. If you've not used it, it does update aircraft and liveries, so they keep adding things regularly. Big news at this point, at what I think is episode 8, is I've made a decision for my career mod, and this is it. So this is why you're seeing this at this point. I kind of tossed out, I don't know, 6 to 8 career mod videos all at once a couple days ago, I think, is when they would have been there. And so episodes 6 and 7 were done prior to really me doing any of the testing, I think, of the other options that I was exploring. But I explored them. Videos are out on the channel if you're interested in how that exploration went. And this is what I settled on at this point. Really the tipping factor at this point is it's free. It appears to offer a lot of mission types compared to the second place option, which would have been on air. I will say one of the things I did talk about at the end of my video where I said, hey, I've made my selection, is that I was going to go look at a Pilot's Life 2 and Air Hauler 2. Pilot's Life 2 I discounted pretty quickly. I don't think that there's anything unique about it. In fact, I basically have a lot of the capabilities with using something like this with self-loading cargo, for example, because really all a Pilot's Life 2 gives you is reports on your landing, but other than that, it's like a virtual airline creator. So I don't know that it really made a lot of sense. Air Hauler 2, on the other hand, it is intriguing. So you never know. One of these days that may show up. But it's likely if I make a switch from this at some point, it's going to be to on air. Because I did feel that was really, really well fleshed out. The other thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to use Beyond ATC along with this series as much as possible. I think the challenge is going to be with the smaller airports and the fact that Beyond ATC really is not designed for VFR at this point. It may not work, so we're going to try it this time, maybe a couple other times. But if I'm just struggling with it all the time and it's causing me problems, I'm gonna ditch it, and we're just gonna stick in this series with doing the work and finding other ways to get things done. The biggest gap is that Beyond ATC requires a SimBrief flight plan, and as you've seen through some of these episodes, sometimes the airports aren't in SimBrief. So short of starting up and then maybe starting mid-flight with Beyond ATC and at least having it have me land, I don't know, but I think, again, because I can't get a flight plan in, I don't think it would work at all. So I think if I can't get a SimBrief flight plan for a leg, I just don't try to use Beyond ATC. So we're sitting here at Akron-Canton Regional. We've got several options. So again, I'm going to hit my wait button. Again, a feature I love in Neofly was one of the things I highlighted because it just helps filter that list down right away. And then things will be sorted now by distance now that I clicked on that. So we can start to see, do we see anything? And other than flying to Cleveland, so again, the benefit is I could take a passenger and I could take a passenger and some cargo. So an extra $400 to take something that really puts me slightly overweight. I wouldn't really be that far overweight. I'm going to be overweight by like 5 pounds. So I'm going to test this out. I think this will be a good one because I should be able to fly overweight. And it's just going to make it a little more challenging for me. But it may not let me get the full bonus. And again, we'll know then. So I'm going to grab this passenger. So going to Cleveland Hopkins. We're going to go ahead and grab the cargo. So we've got close. And we're going to Okay, so not enough remaining cargo capacity. So you can see at this point, right, so it won't even give me the option, which really stinks, but it is what it is. All right, so we'll grab this, and that'll be good enough. So what I could potentially have done is go in and maybe adjust my weight, and that would have worked. So let me go now to, so we've got both of those items there. Again, it's 35 nautical miles. It shouldn't be too bad. So we need to get our Cessna 152 here into Cleveland, Akron, and I'll see you there once I have that going.
I know it's going to be a good day when my favorite pilot is working.
Pilot from dispatch. Please stand by.
Alright, so they're boarding passengers, loading cargo. I'm going to need to adjust the weight, but I need to go set my flight plan up. So we've got payload set. We're all set to go. Alright, we're loading up beyond ATC.
Beyond ATC connected.
Alright, so it's loading Canton, loading Cleveland. Building the trees for the paths. Gonna set the auto-tune radio.
"5G notice in effect. Advise on initial contact. You
So
have information
we've
in
got
India.
ATIS.
Akron Canton Airport information India. 1951 Zulu. Wind 285 at Niner. Gusts 2 tree visibility 10. Ceiling 25,000 broken. Temperature 24. Dew point 08. Altimeter 2974. Landing and departing runway 2 tree. 5G notice in effect. Advise on initial contact. You have information India. Akron Canton Airport information India. 1951 Zulu. Wind 285 at Niner. Gusts 2 tree visibility 10. Ceiling 25,000 broken. Temperature 24. Dew point 08. Altimeter 2974. Landing and departing runway 2 tree. 5G notice in effect. Advise on initial contact. You have information India. Akron Canton Airport information India.
You're good to go.
1951 Zulu. Wind 285 at Niner. Gusts 2 tree visibility 10. Ceiling 25,000 broken. Temperature 24. Dew point 08. Altimeter 2974.
Alright,
Landing and departing runway 2 tree.
2974.
5G notice in effect. Advise on initial contact. You have information India.
So that's about there.
Akron Canton Airport information India. 1951 Zulu. Wind 285 at Niner. Gusts 2 tree visibility 10.
Alright, so we're going to go to clearance.
25,000 broken. Temperature 2.
And then it should auto-tune after that. Akron Canton clearance. Seeking clearance to Cleveland Hopkins Airport, November 172 Sierra Bravo.
November 172 Sierra Bravo, Akron Canton clearance. Cleared to Cleveland Hopkins Airport. Radar vector shirk, then is filed. Maintain 4,000. Departure frequency 126.55. Squawk 5031.
Cleared to Cleveland Hopkins Airport. Radar vector shirk, then is filed. Maintain 4000. Departure frequency 12655. Squawk 5031. November 172 Sierra Bravo.
November 172 Sierra Bravo. Read that correct. Contact ground 121.7 when ready for start or taxi.
Contact ground 1217. November 172 Sierra Bravo. Alright, so 5, 0, whoops, Niner. Oh, won't it let me go that other way? That's interesting. Can I, oh, 3. I don't know. It wasn't letting me go to Niner, but I guess I didn't need to go there. Alright. So we're going to turn that on. So that should give us that. And then yes, we are set on runway 23. I'm not using real weather. I learned my lesson with that. These planes are too fickle, and I wouldn't be able to fly. The wind is like 16 at Cleveland Hopkins with gusts up to 23. Like, it would be completely impossible to fly. So in this series, we're likely never going to use real weather. At least not until I get to something different. You know, maybe if I'm ever flying a CJ4 or something, like, maybe we can do that. Let's take a look out here. I don't know that I really need a push and start. I can request taxi. I am running FSLTL, so we've got some planes around, so at least it looks like the airport's legit. So I always try to do that, at least lately, now that I've settled on things and I'm doing less checking and all of that. Alright, so I want to do radar vectors to shirk. So I'll just, again, have to fly that appropriately. You know, a lot of it's VFR. We're only going, 30 miles, but ground. Request startup, November 172 Sierra Bravo. We've already started, obviously.
November 172 Sierra Bravo. Engine start approved. Call when ready for taxi.
Call when ready for taxi, November 172 Sierra Bravo. Alright, yeah, I did not want the battery to run out while I was sitting playing around and so forth. So we'll go ahead, we'll leave this going. I don't know that Beyond ATC is going to give us a lot. It may. So, we'll be heading up to 4,000. Obviously, we don't have an autopilot in the Cessna. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. We'll get our flaps down to 10 for takeoff. We'll get pitot heat on, navigator, strobe, taxi. Should be all set. We've got our fuel on, obviously, or the engine wouldn't be running very well. We'll rich the mixture up a little bit for takeoff. Alright, should be good. Let's call for taxi. Request taxi to runway, November 172 Sierra Bravo.
November 172 Sierra Bravo. Scenery at this airport contains unusable taxi path data. Runway 23, taxi at pilot's discretion.
Alright, well, that's clear enough. Sad that it doesn't have that, but that's okay. Alright, we are parked right here, so it's relatively simple to get to. Turn ourselves off. Crank up the engine a bit, and we'll get over there.
November 172 Sierra Bravo.
Whoops.
Scenery at this airport contains unusable taxi path data. Runway 23, taxi at pilot's discretion.
Taxi at pilot's discretion, runway 23, 172 Sierra Bravo.
November 172 Sierra Bravo. Contact Akron Canton Tower 134.75.
Contact Tower 134.75, 172 Sierra Bravo. Tower 172 Sierra Bravo. Ah, I botched it.
November 172 Sierra Bravo. Did not copy.
172 Sierra Bravo, request departure. I did that backwards, but...
November 172 Sierra Bravo, Akron Canton Tower, wind 285 at Niner, gust 23, fly heading 240, runway 23, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 23 cleared for takeoff. 172 Sierra Bravo. Alright, so as you saw, the wind is insane. 9, gusts up to 23. I'd be flipping this plane, so hence why we're not doing that. I wanna make some progress. I haven't Neoflyed in a little bit, and now that we've picked this, excited to, like, yep, this is the career, and let's make some progress in this sucker. Because I'd love to get to the point where I'm renting or getting a better plane, you know, at least a Cessna 172 to be able to have some IFR stuff and maybe a little more distance. Alright, we're obviously lifting off. Alright. So
Pilot from dispatch. Fly safe.
we will. So that's Neofly. So it's going to potentially get a little confusing. Alright, so we're going up to 4,000, which is higher than I normally will fly, but it's alright. And now again, I kind of have my vectors. So let's see, I'm going 330. I really need to go almost 360, I think. So let me take a peek here. In theory, it's telling me to go 344, but so yeah, maybe we'll stick there. Because if I go to shirk, like it's suggested, that's kind of on the approach. I mean, again, it's an ILS approach, which I'm not going to use. So, alright. We'll see how this goes. I mean, we're not going to be able to climb incredibly aggressively, but it shouldn't take too terribly long to get places. So again, the challenge is Beyond ATC right now isn't technically set for VFR, and normally I think with VFR you'd simply be getting an approval to leave, and we wouldn't be getting the vectors and stuff, because we're flying visually basically, but we're technically not flying visually, and you know, it's fun to have ATC. So part of it is I want to get myself familiar and comfortable with just responding as I fly and so forth, and the only way I do that is through that usage. Alright. Now I thought we were at 3,000, but we're at 2,000. Alright, so that makes a little bit more sense. So, I mean, we are already on tower. Not sure why we don't get handed off to departure right away, but yeah, and the other reality is, I mean, we're barely moving, for God's sakes. I mean, we're going 70 miles an hour because we're using a good amount of our thrust for climb. But, you know, I'm going to want to line myself up about 10 miles out to be able to land appropriately. Alright, so we're at about 2,800. Getting to 4,000 is not going to be terribly easy, I'll tell you that. So yeah, for those who haven't had time to go ahead and watch, as I did kind of my search for a career add-on, I tried FS Economy, which we really had kind of done before I got going on Neofly on the channel and moving in that direction. We then very quickly kind of eliminated FS Economy, that, hey, Neofly would be better. I then had one paid service in the bunch that I had heard of on air, and I was able at the start of May to give the 1-week trial for that a go. So at this point, I haven't honestly checked. Sometime today it's expiring. I did a little bit of it, but basically after a couple days, I had enough of a feel that I was like, you know, I think I've got enough. And then a couple more I had come across. So I'd also had Aviative and New Sky were ones that other folks had talked about on forums that I was like, I'll check those out. New Sky really was more of a VA engine than it was a career mod. So that got, I think, one episode on the channel and literally probably an afternoon of my time. I think I did two little flights and that was it. And then was like, it's decent for a VA, but not what I want for this. So that got eliminated pretty quickly. And Aviative, while definitely really cute little eye candy, it didn't have the depth that I really needed, and it didn't look like it was incredibly active. I think there were like 5 or 6 of us that were kind of using it, and so of course when I showed up I had like the top guy get all excited like, hey, if you're looking for someone to fly with, I want to fly with people and I'll help you learn, I'll help you do whatever. But it looks like it's I think based and written by someone in Europe, and it's got a nice interface. Again, if you're interested, go take a look. I think again I've got one episode out there. They all kind of dropped earlier this week in this first full week of May 2024. So if you're trying to figure out where to go search for it time-wise, I don't think I actually put them in any kind of playlist, because at the end of the day it was really people who were interested and were following would be interested and would be following, but they're not really episodes that I think anyone's going to care to go back and look at later. So if they search for Aviative for on air or whatever, they'll probably come up because of the titles, but beyond that, I'm not expecting a whole lot of ongoing interest in those. I am going way too high, because in theory for VFR I shouldn't be above 4,000, so I need to get down pretty quickly here. But yeah, we may literally get no air traffic direction, other than perhaps when we get closer and they switch us to Cleveland approach. But part of it is like we're not anywhere close to being out of Akron-Canton airspace. That's the other issue. So I'm going to back off on the throttle again. I think that will also help, because then I won't have as much thrust and should be in better shape. So let's try to flatten this out a bit, see what we can do here. But even these little flights are going to be 30 miles. It's still going to take a good 30-40 minutes to truly get down gate to gate. So they're easily an episode of content. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people would say once you're flying, most of the terrain looks the same. So, alright, I'm trying to figure out trying to trim the aircraft to get kind of close here, because again I can get myself below 4,000 pretty easily. There we go. And then it's just a matter of trimming out and being ready to go, or it's going to be a bit of a challenge to do anything. Alright. No, now I'm descending, so now I need to pull the trim up a bit, because again I don't have as much power, so it's probably gonna fluctuate a bit here. Let's see. Can I level myself out? Not quite yet. Now we're a little too much. Now we may have gone too much the other way. It's always a bit of a game when you're playing around here. Alright, so what I do is I tend to kind of level off the vertical speed, which is that in the first set of dials on the right, so the second row from the right, The one that's going up and down around the 0 is what I'm looking at. And so basically that keeps telling me that when it goes below 0, it's telling me that we're losing altitude. So I keep trimming up the aircraft to give it a little bit of uplift, and then what I want to do is basically have it sitting around the 0, because otherwise we're losing altitude. So I'm trying to get back up to like 3,900. I'm basically on track. I probably want to go a little bit to the left. Almost at the edge of the airspace, so we'll see how things go once we get there, but we probably have a couple more miles, which at this pace is probably going to be a couple more minutes. But maybe air traffic will then call. And so what we may determine is the air traffic thing doesn't make a lot of sense here, but then again, there's probably not a ton of activity, so it doesn't hurt to have it on either. Alright, at this point I can go up a bit, but I just cannot get it to not fall right now. And I don't have the throttle pulled out that much, so I should have some power to do a little bit of climbing if it does that, but right now it looks like maybe we're still going down a bit. So trim it out a little bit more. So now we're like right on the boundary. If I look at the chart, that would tell me I'm leaving. And then it looks like for a short period we'd be in uncontrolled airspace. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But at this point I'd say we're a third of the way where we need to be. We've maybe done 10 of our 30 miles. And I guess the 30 miles is really to a waypoint that would start the ILS that is actually far closer than one would expect. It's probably 10 miles closer, so we might still have 30 miles to go. Not sure. And I might end up heading toward Groza. I need to figure out what the approach levels are, so let's see. Yeah. Groza's at 2,000. Shirk would be 3,000. So either way, we're still going to need to be down some. All right. Now we should be in uncontrolled airspace. So this just may not work very well for ATC, because it just may not be having the ability to communicate with us, because VFR is not officially supported, so I may just want to not use it for this series, because it just might not make sense. But until I try it, I don't know. So now I've tried it, now I have an idea. We're getting a little too much to the left there, so I need to head more in that direction. So you can see Lake Erie up there, kind of just starting to come in on the horizon. The airport is not on the lake. The airport is nearer the lake than Akron Canton is, but pretty much, well, I shouldn't say everything is nearer the lake than Akron Canton, but obviously if you're heading north, everything in that direction is near the lake. So let's see, I'm just giving myself a little more fuel because we are falling a bit. But yeah, if we were going to join, there's a waypoint clapped that we're kind of heading toward. Because the thing is, I think Groza is... Yeah, Groza's only 3 miles out. So I'm just worried Groza's a bit too close. But Shirk is then 6.5. We're going to be at like 6.5, almost 7 miles out. And that's a lot of miles. Especially in a 152. But what I'm hoping is, with alone, that I'll be able to get a 172. Because, again, it's a little faster, but more importantly, I don't have to kind of play this game of trying to level myself out. It just becomes a simpler flying mechanism. And, you know, I could probably sell the 152 because I really don't need it. And then, you know, start to pay things off and so forth. So we'll see where we stand at the end of the flight, because this will, you know, give us another 5,000 or so. Now, I'm going to be curious if and when it switches us over to Cleveland control. We're not on the chart. We're not in the airspace just yet. We probably have 3 or 4 more nautical miles to go for that. Alright, so now I'm too high. So I'm going to back off, but I backed off 2 notches, so might not want to go that far. That's the challenge too when you're trying to trim out an aircraft like this. It's a little bit of, you've got to give it time for whatever change you've made in the controls to take effect. So I'm backing out the throttle a tiny bit again. We're sinking, but the problem ends up being, see, now we're going to sink. Now the speed's going to go up, and then we're going to start to rise again because we've accelerated, and so we're generating more lift, and then we're going to get to the point where it slows down because we've gone up too much. But the goal is to hopefully get it to kind of seesaw a little slower each time until it settles on 0. So yeah, it didn't go down 500 this time. Hopefully it won't go up 500 either, and maybe we're at a decent point. But yeah, I keep looking at the options that Beyond ATC is giving me, because it almost seems like I should be able to call air traffic and get something. But the reality is, if I'm flying actual VFR, unless I request something called flight following, I wouldn't be utilizing them anyway. So, just trying to get everything set. I'm going to need the landing monitor, but at this pace, I can turn the landing monitor on later. I mean, you can see we're moving. I promise we are moving, but I get it doesn't feel like it sometimes. So we've probably gone 20 miles. So not super far, but a good distance. Certainly further than we will have walked at this time. How about that? So yeah, while we're sitting here, I guess I could share, it was a bit intriguing that my wife and I got to go see Neil deGrasse Tyson speak last night. So that was fun. I've never seen him in person. I've certainly seen him on TV before, or, you know, talking on the news, whatever it is. So I certainly know of him. So when the opportunity came to see him in person, you know, my wife was actually the one that noticed he was going to be near us and was like, "Hey, that would be fun." And I got her some tickets, got us some tickets, and was like, "Hey." And she was not expecting that we would actually do it, that it was just, hey, it was interesting, but that might, maybe we would decide or not. But I'm like, she wants to go, let's go. Why not? So it was intriguing the way he explained things, because he basically said the city or the venue that he's at, and I don't want to say performing, because he's giving basically a talk. So it's not like he's acting or pretending or something, so it's not really performing. But it was at a theater, so performing comes to mind. But where he was talking, he said basically where he's giving the talk, he gives them a list of 12 or 15 talks that he has prepared, and basically the venue selects what he's going to talk on. So other than he's coming, you might not know the talk. Now again, the title was there when I got tickets, but I didn't realize that's how this worked with him. But it's not like he shows up and says, yep, this is what I'm talking about, or that as he goes from place to place that he talks about the same thing, because he explained in this case he's doing 4 different talks across kind of the upper Midwest here, I guess. And he explained, I'm doing this talk in this city, this talk in that city, this talk in that city. If you really want to be a groupie, you can follow me around and hear a different talk at every city. Which again, if I was retired or something, might be an intriguing prospect. So he's older than I am, so I'm not sure he'll still be talking when I'm at the point that I could do that, but maybe one of these days we'll follow Neil deGrasse Tyson around and listen to a bunch of things, because it was an enjoyable experience.
All aircraft be advised, information Juliet now current. Altimeter 2974.
All right. And that's still out of Akron, Canton. So it's interesting, but it doesn't help me. Altimeter's the same. So they updated it for something. Maybe the winds changed. I also don't know if Beyond ATC kind of does that just periodically, so that you feel like, hey, there's something happening, like if you're sitting on the ground for 20 minutes getting ready, that that's going on. But anyway, this talk he did, I think, was Delusions of Space Enthusiasts or something, and one of the areas he had was embarrassing quotes, one of the chapters, as he called it. And so he went into that, and so in a lot of cases he would put up a quote, and sometimes it would have the source right away and the date, but basically most times it was a quote, and then he'd kind of pause for dramatic effect and then reveal who it was. And so very early on, because obviously things were somewhat in chronological order, he put up a quote that man will never determine how to fly for at least the next 50 years. Or it will take at least 50 years for man to determine how to fly. And then when he put up the person who said that, it was Orville Wright in 1901. So 2 years before him and his brother flew at Kitty Hawk. And so even folks like that were kind of in the midst of things didn't know. And then I think the quote he put up right after that was no mechanical flight will ever be possible between New York and Paris. And that was once again Orville Wright in 1908. And obviously, as we all know, Charles Lindbergh in the early 1920s made that flight. So it didn't take that long. And again, Orville felt it would never be possible, let alone, it'll take a bit. But so it's always interesting when we're sitting here today, we take flight for granted. We think it's simple, and that it came about, and even the people that were helping make it come about didn't understand what might be possible. And so it only helps you to wonder, what we think today and what we're assuming today, and how wrong we would be in 10 or 15 years. Because, I think one of the early quotes he had was basically a daily newspaper had put something in that the 20th century will never see improvements in transportation on the scale that we have just witnessed in the 19th century. We will never again have a century that has that, and obviously we suddenly were able to fly again, and that was in 1900 in the paper. So we're getting close here. I don't think we're gonna get handed off. I think we're flying so low and we're doing something so basic that it just doesn't know what to do with us. So the airport should be basically right to my right over there somewhere. But we are now in the ILS approach path, so we would have gone around, but I'm just flying straight across toward Shirk still, and then I'll probably start to turn and join the approach. What I will do though is I will start to slow down and let the plane start to descend, because we're way up there. That's the other problem. We are way up here. So I guess I want to be careful because, again, I need to do small increments and I don't want to go down too fast. But we're at almost 5,000 feet, so we're exceeding our limit. So this is partially why I would like to step up to the plane, because it'll just make this a bit more enjoyable. I mean, doing this out of necessity is one thing, and this is an interesting plane to fly once in a while, but like I can manually fly a 172 if I want to, and then when I get sick of it, I can turn on autopilot and it'll fly nice and level, and I don't have to play these games. But at this point, so there's Cleveland, Cuyahoga River. But I'm going to turn a bit here, because now, again, if I kept going due north there, or close to due north that I was doing, we would end up further away than Shirk. So we'd be more than 6 miles away, but we should be at about 3,000 at Shirk and at 2,000 at Groza, so I'm really targeting 2,000. But hopefully that story was a bit interesting to you. So, yeah, the building there is Rocket Mortgage Field House, formerly Quicken Loans Arena. It's where the Cavaliers play. NBA team, if you're watching this and you're not from the U.S. and you don't know what the Cavaliers are, it's basketball. So, then next to that, where we couldn't see, would be Progressive Field. So that's right about there. That building there. So it's the one thing I do definitely really like about Microsoft Flight Simulator is the way it pulls that real data and uses it in such a way that, like, you can fly. So there's Hopkins. We just saw it under the wing there. There it is. So we just need to come in, line up. I don't know if 19 left is really the one on the left, but I'm going to treat it as if it is. And so hopefully that'll work. But, alright, so we're at 3,000 and we're basically at Shirk here. So we're about where we want to be. It's just a question now of, alright, so I probably want to trim down some and slow down, and then hopefully we'll start to go down. And man, I cannot believe that we are not losing altitude. There we go. But again, we're going to gain airspeed and then it's going to level out. I think I'm way too far to the left. It doesn't look like I am, but I know what'll happen as I get closer. It's just going to get more and more pronounced, and then it's going to be too difficult to work with. Alright, we might be on about the right descent path here. We're not at Groza yet, but we want to be around 2,000. We're passing through 2,300. And Groza, again, would be about 3.7 nautical miles out of the airport. But we'll be getting the passenger and some clothes delivered here and getting ourselves some money. Money is a good thing in a career mod. Alright, I think that's pretty good. But yeah, it has not switched us to Cleveland Hopkins. So clearly it does not do a good job at this point, and it's not it shouldn't work with VFR. So I think what we've learned is it's not really properly usable for this, because it's not like it can't tell where my aircraft is. Alright, we're at 1800, we are past there. And then the runway is at, what, 780? I think? Actually, it looks like it might be 1064. So we might only need to go down a little bit. Yeah, okay, we're 1,000 feet above now at 1200, so that makes no sense, because then, or 1600, I guess. So we'll see how it goes, but I'll try to get in there. Okay, I think I'm going to put flaps out. That will help. That will obviously pitch me way up to begin with. I don't know what I'm looking at. The flap switch is there. Someone else is coming in. So it probably shows how we're way too high. They're, maybe they're okay. Like, they appear to be way off the center line. But they got better. Are they just doing a touch and go? Yeah, it looks like it. So maybe they're practicing. Alright, I'm going to speed up a bit. I may have forgotten completely to put my flaps up, because it looks like we're at the second set of flaps, and I certainly wasn't doing that. Okay, there's a plane waiting to take off. I assume if there's someone in there, they can see me, and if not, Microsoft Flight Simulator knows that I'm here. So let's see. Try to glide in. Let's see. Let's see how gentle we can do this.
That was a harder landing than we like to see, pilot.
Yeah, I guess it was. 193, huh?
Contact ground for your parking assignment, then shut down your engine.
Yeah, but like it still doesn't even know I'm here, so it's kind of crazy. So I may just head off this way, and then kind of once I vacate appropriately, we'll park. There's no reason to prolong it, but yeah, I think what we've clearly seen is Beyond ATC is just not going to work for this series with what we've got going on. So we're going to go ahead here, and well, let me go, I guess, and park. I mean, if I'm doing a career series, I suppose I should, be legitimate, right? Let's see, is it? I must have had the brake on. There we go. So I should find somewhere to park, but problem is I think we've got another runway here, which in theory we should be asking to cross, but air traffic is not giving us that option. But to me, like, if I've got any kind of a parking space for GA, it seems to be more over here than anything else. head over here. And then we should be able to park pretty much anywhere in the space over here. So I'm going to put on my brake, back off the propeller because it's still pulling us forward quite a bit, and set the flaps up. There we go. And we should be all set. So let's power down.
Transporter, you can open the doors and begin the disembarkation.
Alright, so unloading cargo, onboarding passengers. We're at 33,000. We have not gotten our payout here yet. And before we leave, we'll see what we're doing. I'm going to turn off Beyond ATC because it's literally doing nothing for us. But we should get
Transport from
6,000 or
dispatch.
so.
Okay, nice job. Someone is coming to take the cargo. I'll call you when it's done.
So the other thing that would be nice is if I could improve my qualification score. But I think I've been at Hopkins before, and it didn't really work. So if I can, you know, it might make sense to try to look and move around a bit, because I've really just been staying in my space here, which maybe is kind of how it would work. Oh, maybe we're done soon.
You are clear to start your engine.
All right. So again, the trudge up the XP is pretty slow, 360 out of 1,000, but almost 40,000. So let's go take a look at our log. All right, so I guess, probably, what did I do? Not turn the lights? Landing light, beacon, taxi speed. Okay, so I forgot that. Almost the same as I did there. But again, you can see 43 minutes for a simple flight like that. It's a lot. Not that the Cessna 172 is going to be significantly faster, but at that rate, almost anything is better. All right, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I looked at these and there's nothing. There are no planes that I can qualify on here. All right, we're getting low on fuel, so next time we're going to have to do that. Let's go to the aircraft market. All right, here in Cleveland. Oh, wow. Literally nothing. Nothing except big planes here. Obviously, that's not going to work for me. All right, well, the Cessnas are a long way away. But what this can help me figure out is, like, what do I want to do? So I need to get myself closer to that. That might be my best option. Because let's see, it's 97, 96. They're all similar. But this is certainly cheaper. But the G1000 gives me the GPS. Now again, they're only available a certain days, so like, you know, by the 13th of May, like this one will be gone. Basically, I need to head north into Michigan, is what I'm seeing. But the issue is to get that far in any reasonable amount of time is going to take me a long time flying. The good news is then, you know, maybe I'll have made some good money, but I think what I need to start doing is kind of making my way there. And that kind of needs to be my goal now that I know that's what I'm doing. So when we come back for the next episode, we're basically going to leave Cleveland and we're going to start heading this way. And then it should start giving us some new jobs. So I can basically zoom in and then pick that way. So that's good to know. So that's a learning that I don't have. Sandusky is near Cedar Point. We could be bringing stuff there. Again, this may not be available when I come in next time. I don't know. We'll see. But at this point, you know, we're getting closer, and we have a direction. More importantly, we know this is our career mod series. So we're going to be working that. We're going to be trying to unlock jobs. We're going to be trying to get progress in mature simmer air here, and get myself moving along. So if you've enjoyed this, haven't dropped a like, please consider that. And if you are not a subscriber, please consider that as well. I will see you next time.